Hello, everyone. Welcome to this webinar today, which is related to our application softwares for our range of eNod4 controllers to be used in process weighing solutions environment. So today I am joined with Olivier Legendre, who is our marketing director.
Hello, everybody.
And myself, I'm Nicolas Joannes, export area manager at Scame since 2016, and in charge of Eastern Europe countries and Asia Pacific. So to start with, I'm going to very shortly introduce to you the rules of operation of this webinar. So as you may have noticed, your microphone is off, but also your camera. Nevertheless, at any time, if you have a questions, you can contact us using the Q&R tool, which is displayed at the bottom of your screen, a question and reply. Either questions related to the Zoom webinar software if you face any problem. And we have a presentation team which is with us today. So with our colleague Yvan Berthollet, who can answer your questions, text questions. And you can, of course, ask any question during the presentation related to our products or applications that we will present. And we will answer these questions. Olivier will answer these questions at the end of this presentation. So let's now start with this webinar. So at first, very shortly, the area of expertise of Scame for process weighing applications. So we are active in different sectors of activity. We have solutions for plant engineering, so for food and beverage application, metal and material production, the chemical industry, waste management, and logistic applications. And we've also developed solutions for machine control, mainly for packaging machines. Our area of expertise are quite large, as you can see on the right of this screen. So it goes from platform weighing solutions, tank weighing, belt weighing, so continuous weighing on a belt conveyor, loss in weight feeding system, filling and dosing solutions, and dynamic weighing with sorting and checkweighing. So I'm now going to let the floor to Olivier, who is going to give you a short description and short presentation of our eNod4 range of controllers.
Thank you, Nicolas. So yes, just a short introduction of eNod4 features. So our eNod4 controller range include two types of presentation. Here you can see the DIN rail version, but we have also a stainless steel box version for these devices. It's a wide weighing channel device, and for the weighing channel, it includes a diagnostic for the measuring systems, and it allows a module replacement without calibrations. So about connectivity, these modules offers a large choice of connectivity to the main industrial field bus or industrial Ethernet networks. You have some type of example. We have two hardware models, one hardware with RS485 with connectivity to Modbus RTU or Profibus, and this module also integrate CAN open connectivity with a CAN bus. And we have a second model with Ethernet connectivity with a choice of different industrial Ethernet network like Profinet, Ethernet IP, Modbus TCP, and EtherCAT. this Ethernet module offers 2 Ethernet ports with integrated switch and hub that allows a DC chain connections. And it's also integrate a web server in parallel of the PLC connectivity to be able to have a remote access of our modules for monitoring to monitor the process or to make the settings, or also to save and reload a configuration or to update the firmware.
Mm-hmm.
So we also have some option like a Bluetooth connectivity with going with a free of charge Android applications to be able to remotely access to the measurements, to control the applications or to make the setup. You have the same type of function available also with an optional HMI eNod touch with its touch screen available in 2 dimensions. So as Nicolas explained just after, we have a several choice of applications, and to control these applications, our modules integrate some IOs. As a standard, you have 2 inputs and 4 outputs, and in optionally, you can have additional outputs and also analog outputs.
Indeed.
Okay. So this module is not just a transmitter. You can use as a transmitter with the eNod4 versions, but it also offers a great choice of specific firmware for a large type of weighing application, like dosing and filling version, the eNod4D, eNod4C with a checkweighing applications, eNod4B for continuous weighing on belt, and eNod4F for loss in weight filling. And now Nicolas will enter in detail on all these applications.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you very much, Olivier. So this was a short introduction on our range of eNod4 transmitters and controllers. So now the idea through this presentation is to describe to you the different models, the different firmware versions we can offer, and give you also some application cases for each of these versions. So at first, let's start with the eNod4T, which is the basic model, if I can say, because this is a transmitter, so converting the millivolt signal from a strain gauge load cell into a digital signal, because it integrates an A to D conversion mode. And this is dedicated to for static applications like storage, or but also for data transmission.
Data transmission, high-speed data transmission.
High-speed data transmission, indeed. So just Olivier said before that eNod4 exists in two versions, a ride-in version and a stainless steel version. So you can see the 2 types in this picture. So about the eNod4T transmitter. So as we said before, this is a digital transmitter which is able to offer a high speed of measurement. So for information, the measuring frequency of these transmitters is up to 1,600 measurements per second. So a very fast acquisition speed. And it offers also the possibility of high accuracy of measurement. The main functionalities of this transmitter is the possibility to make a physical or theoretical calibration of your weighing system. and to manage the set points depending on your process. So here you have an example of a silo weighing application in which you can use the set points, 2 set points in this case, to control a low level so that you can have an alarm which is activated to refill your silo, and a high level so that you can stop the refilling at the right time. Different modes also to manage the set points function of your process.
Yes, I just would like to, in addition, because we will see after in the other applications, we will use a lot of features about filtering. You just have to know that the digital filtering functionality available for the other applications are integrated for the eNod4T version, for the transmitter versions.
Indeed.
And so we offer a high capacity
filtration. So indeed, this is a very important point. Thank you, Olivier. So we have a different digital filters which are automatically integrated into our eNod4 transmitters or controllers, and which are fully adjustable. So you can filter the signal if you are in a noisy environment, as an example. We will anyway describe this in more details in the next slides. Just one application case related to the eNod4T, so for silo weighing application. So we have this application in which we were asked to propose a solution for the modernization of existing weighing systems. So this was in a chemical industry producing herbicides. And we have proposed a solution for 19 tanks equipped with load cells, scheme load cells, junction boxes, but also eNod4T transmitters in Ethernet Modbus TCP communication. So the main advantage for this factory was to be able to have all the data of all silos available on an Ethernet network connected to the central PLC of the factory. So now we can go on the another version of eNod4, the eNod4D, so embedded with a specific firmware dedicated to dosing applications, so D like dosing, T like transmitters, quite easy to remember. And this version is really dedicated to batch dosing or batch filling processes. For mixing and packaging solutions. So here we have an example of possible applications of the eNod4D controller. So you can see from the picture, so dosing and mixing solutions, bag or bottle filling applications, but also filling applications with intermediate hoppers, as you can see here, which is mainly used for bag filling processes, for powder processing. Just one important point, our controllers are either designed to control filling or dosing process for a powder, for material, but also for liquids. So there is absolutely any difference, and the two are fully possible with our weighing electronics. So just a few words about the main functionalities of this eNod4D. So eNod4D is able to control on the entire filling cycle of a single product, either by filling process or unloading process. It is suitable for high-speed filling in noisy environments. So we will see an application case just after with a rotary filler in which the environment is very noisy. eNod4D also offers the possibility to control several speed of filling, so up to 3 filling speeds, with also the possibility to configure the sequences. So fine feeding, coarse feeding, or coarse feeding, fine feeding. Anyway, you have the possibility to make a specific configuration for your process. It can also control, manage the emptying process, so the product ejection. It can, of course, control the filling tolerances, so that you can check at the end of the cycle if your result is inside or outside tolerances. And something very, very important for accurate dosing system, the possibility to control the in-flight correction value, so either automatically or with a fixed value. Let's now, I can now present to you a filling cycle, a complete filling cycle, so that you can better understand the different functionalities integrated into our eNod4D controller. So this is a basic, a standard filling cycle. Of course, we have the possibility to...
just an example.
This is an example. And we have the possibility, the eNod4D is able to control even more complex cycles, but let's at first start with this basic filling cycle for you to understand what is possible. So in this application, you can see the filling head, which is equipped with 2 valves. At the beginning of the cycle, so in this example, the cycle is starting by weight detection of the empty bottle. So you have the empty bottle arriving on the scale, which generates some noises. Then the weight level is detected and the cycle is starting. So you can see the input, which is activated, the start of cycle, which is activated through the green line. Once the bottle is detected, a tar will be automatically performed, and then the filling cycle can start. In this cycle, the idea is to start the filling process in a fast way, with fast filling, and to finish with a fine filling to ensure a good accuracy of measurement. So you can see a first phase of filling in which the 2 valves, the 2 filling valves are activated. The coarse feed is activated. So you can see the output of the eNod4 represented in red color, and the fine feed, which is also activated. Until you reach a set point that you can manage. This is a parameter that you can adjust into the eNod4D controller. And once this set point is reached, automatically the coarse feed will be deactivated, so that only the fine feed remain active to finish slowly your filling cycle. Once the target weight is reached, then a final measurement is performed to control the result, if it's inside or outside tolerances, and then the eNod4D will also control the ejection of the product. So you have an entire cycle which is controlled by the eNod4D. There is no requirement of assistance by a PLC in this case, and only the filling result will be sent to your PLC, who can then continue the process.
Yes, I just add, it's really an example. You can, all the sequences of the feeds, the number of feed, you can make a feeding with 1 feed, 2 feed, 3 feed, different sequences of feed. Also for the output, it's configurable if you want different configuration for the output for the control of the valve.
Yes, indeed. And we have an advanced mode in which you can adjust the filtering in the different phases, steps of the filling cycle. But this is something if you have any interest, we can answer you after this presentation, of course.
Okay, now
I'll let you present
the first example of applications. It's a small multi-head rotary filling machines by unloading. In fact, the load cells weight the tank, the small tanks of product, and by unloading, we fill some sauce on fish cans. And here in this example, eNod4 manage all the filling process with the parameters sent by the PLC, and the PLC manage the overall machines. Here it's a really small machine with only 8 heads, and for this type of applications, we are able to manage up to 70, 80 heads.
Thank you, Olivier. So here we have a second application case related to the use of eNod4 controllers. So the application is very different in this case. This application is linked to the mixing of 2 powders for an extrusion process. So as you can see from this drawing, you have 2 tanks with different powders inside. Each powder is dosed, is filled by batched into a main hopper that will be used for the extrusion process. So each tank is equipped with an eNod4 to perform batch filling cycles. So the third firmware available with our eNod4C is our eNod4C firmware dedicated for dynamic weighing applications. So either check weighing, grading, or sorting solutions. So mainly designed for control at the end of the process. One important point, if you have any interest in dynamic weighing applications or interest in our eNod4C controller, we have a training session which is available tomorrow. So either tomorrow 9 a.m. French time or 3 p.m. French time. So please feel free to register to this training session if you have any interest, because you'll have the possibility to go much deeper in the functions available and in the way to filter a signal, to parameter the process, etc., etc. So just some explanation about this firmware version dedicated to dynamic weighing. So this firmware is able to control, to take in charge a full cycle of dynamic check weighing. You have the possibility, as we mentioned before, to adjust digital filters for the attenuation of vibrations. So that is what you can see from this picture. In a blue color, you can see the raw signal coming from the load cell, which is very noisy, because in such a system, when the product arrives on the scale, it necessarily generates a strong level of vibrations that you can filter using our adjustable filters. And in red color, you can see the filtered signal. Something important, the start of the measuring cycle can be either launched by weight detection, or can be activated by an external trigger detectors.
Yes. One or two detectors.
One or two detectors.
For 2 detectors, you have one detector to start the cycle, one detector to
finish the
cycles. And if it's one detector to start the cycles and the time will determine
the end of the cycle. Yeah. So of course, into the eNod4, you have also, especially in this eNod4C firmware version, you have the possibility to define the timings.
Yes.
So the settling time, the measuring time, some delays in your process. And the eNod4C will calculate the checkweighing results, so the weight,
and transmit it to the PLC.
To the PLC. So once again, nothing should be done into the PLC to control this process. Everything can be controlled by the eNod4C through its dedicated firmware. So only the parameters should be adjusted depending on your process. The last important function integrated is the possibility to control the ejection of the product. So the product ejection is managed by target weight. And as you can see from this picture, the control of out of tolerances or within tolerances items can be managed.
An application case. Yes, again, an application case. A typical application case for pre-package in meat or fish industry. Here it's for meat. It's chicken fillets. Yeah. And the goal of the application is to prepare some packaging with some fillets, and to have exactly always the same weight inside the package. And so the goal of our applications is to dynamically weigh the fillet passing through conveyors. Here you have two conveyors. eNod4C manage all the cycle of dynamic weighing. It sends very quickly the information to the PLC. Here it's a pack drive, and the pack drive will manage the package, the robot arms to prepare the pack.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. So very interesting application, as Olivier said. So the main idea of this application is to check the weight of each chicken fillet. You can see the check weighers, which are just after this conveyor, and depending on the weight of each fillet, then a robot is used to pick up, to select the fillets, so that it can make packages at a specific weight. So let's say 3 fillets should be 600 grams, as an example. So very interesting application for meat processing. So here we have another applications which is fully different, but again related to dynamic weighing. So this is related to fruits processing and to a grading machine of fruits, in which we've used an eNod4C with a CAN-open communication to a PLC. And a detector was connected to the eNod4C to start the checkweighing cycle. Something very important here, we mentioned before that the eNod4 is able to process very fast measurement. So in this application, we've been able to
reach about 10 measurements by second.
10 fruits.
10 fruit by seconds. And during this very short time, more or less
100 milliseconds.
Yes, between
roughly
50 to 100 milliseconds, we calculate a weight very fast. The goal of the application is not a very accurate weighing comparing with the application before, because yes, for for pre-pack, we need very high accuracy. For this type of application, we just have to calibrate the fruit inside
according to the size,
to the size, and the accuracy is a little bit lower than real checkweigher applications.
I think the target accuracy was
is plus or minus 1, depending on the size of the fruit, because here it's apricot, but it could be also melon or apple, and depending of the type of fruit, it could be plus or minus 1 gram to plus or minus 5 grams.
Yes, of course, of course. So just to say that this version of firmware in eNod4C is able to process very fast measurement and to quickly perform a dynamic measurement. Let's now go on with the eNod4B, so B like belt, which is designed for belt weighing. So this firmware version is very different from the previous one because this version is dedicated to
flow rate control.
Flow rate control.
It's not we control not only the weight but also the flow
of material. So the eNod4B integrates 2 different modes. A first mode is a totalizer mode, which is used to make a totalization of the product. So here you have a description of a typical system. So the eNod4B being connected, of course, to the load cell to measure the weight.
Yes, we measure the weight only on the sections of the conveyors.
Okay, so per unit of length. And the eNod4B can also be connected to a speed encoder
to calculate the speed of the conveyor.
Exactly.
And so the main functionality are for this type of applications, the flow calculations, the continuous weight totalizing, and we have some other very interesting functionality like dynamic zero of belt scales. Belt speed calculations is mandatory to calculate the flow, and we provide we could provide with optional configurable analog output with a flow of the load of the belt.
Yes, indeed. And just a little thing, our eNod4 also offers the possibility to integrate a correction coefficient in case your application is the belt is inclinated. So one application case related to belt scale and totalizer. So this is an application in a plastic recycling company for plastic processing. So this belt scale was used to totalize the production of plastic granules. The system was equipped with an eNod4B, able to control and to totalize the weight on the belt conveyor. The eNod4B was connected to, in this case, to a Siemens PLC in Profinet communication. And it was also connected to a speed encoder to continuously manage and control the speed of the belt. But also connected to a SCAME HMI panel, touch panel, that can be used for the configuration of the system.
For the configuration and to display all the measurements.
Also display during the process. So now the second functioning mode of eNod4B, which is the beltway feeder mode, in which we will control the flow rate of material. So this version integrates the same functionalities as the one we saw before, so the totalizer mode. But in addition, this mode will offer the possibility to manage a target flow rate and target total, so to manage the two. As you can see from the graphics on the right, so target flow rate, which is continuously adjusted, and target total. Something very important and the main difference with the previous version, the flow rate will be controlled by an inbuilt PID controller that you can see here on the analog output that can either action the speed of the belt, yes, or regulate the feeding, supply, the material, yes, supply. And loading cycle management with target on total and in-flight correction. So one application case.
Yes, very quickly, an application here, typical application in production of frozen vegetable. For this type of productions, from when the vegetable arrive in the productions, we have to very regulate the flow of a vegetable during all the process of for washing, for example, and after for the frozen of vegetables.
Yeah, thank you, Olivier. So now the last firmware version available, which is in a way quite similar to the eNod4B. This is the eNod4F, F like feeding, so dedicated for continuous feeding application. Like the eNod4B, this version, this firmware version is dedicated to material flow control.
Material flow control, and
regulation.
Also for the eNod4B, the main difference is the accuracy. Accuracy of continuous feeding with inside a tank by loss in weight feeding is more accurate than belt conveyors.
So here we have at first a description of the process, how it works. So you have a first hopper, which is designed to refill a second hopper, yes, which is weighted, connected to load cell. And in this hopper, connected to a screw feeder, we will control continuously the loss in weight that will help to determine the flow rate of material. And also, as you can see, so the eNod4F will be connected directly to the screw feeder and able to control the feeding process, but will also be connected to the refilling. So the eNod4F will be able to control either the refilling phases and yes, the feeding phases.
And what is important is this refilling phase doesn't stop the
feeding process.
Feeding, yeah?
Of course,
it's a continuous process. We will clearly see on the next slide.
Yeah. So just to summarize the main functionalities of this version, the management of target flow rate, the flow rate calculation by loss in weight, and continuous weight totalizing, the flow rate regulation by inbuilt PID controller with either manual or automatic self-adjustment, the automatic management of gravimetric dosing phases, which is the loss in weight phases, and the refilling volumetric phases, and loading cycle management on
target of totalization.
Exactly. So here on application case, which describe a solution, a loss in weight feeder, which was equipped with our eNod4F. So you have these three graphics here, which describe the process. At first, the one on the top, which indicates the weight value, the one in the center, which indicates the value for the analog output, So related in this case to
the control is the output of control of the PID control.
PID control to the screw feeder.
Yes.
In this case. So here you can see roughly the speed of the screw feeder and the result.
The perfect result.
The perfect result, sorry, which is the continuous regulation of your flow rate. So let's start with the first phase. So here you see the loss in weight phase. Then once the hopper is almost empty, so you fill by yourself, of course, the set point. Then you have a refilling phase that we call the
very short,
as short as possible,
yes.
Which is called the volumetric refilling phase. And then once the hopper is refilled, then you can restart a flow control by loss in weight information. But what's very important with this controller is what is happening during the refilling, because the idea is to continue the process continuously.
Yes,
so not
as
to
accurate
stop.
as possible.
Indeed. So during the refilling phase, the eNod4F will maintain the control of the analog output. So basically the control of the screw feeder.
Yes, and we have different. Here you see one mode of for this for the control during a refilling phase, but we have several modes for this refilling. We have a smart refilling mode where eNod4 take in charge the calculations of the
value that should be used.
The value, or you could use a fixed value, and you could use the last value of a different mode depending on the applications.
So the idea being so we as Olivier said, we offer different possibilities to regulate the value during this phase. To ensure, of course, that the flow rate is continuous and always on the target. So which is the aim of this product. Okay, so this was the last firmware version proposed by Scheme. Just in a few words, very last slide before your questions. Just a synthesis of our range of eNod4 transmitters and controllers, and also relation between our firmware version and the possible application in a factory. So at first, the storage for raw materials or anything on which you can use on eNod4 T like a transmitter. Then you have the material transfer from the storage to the process line, in which you can use an eNod4B for belt weighing. Then you have the mixing process, in which you can, depending on the applications, either use an eNod4F for continuous feeding with material flow control, or eNod4D for batch dosing and mixing applications. Next step is the packaging process, in which you can use an eNod4D for batch dosing, batch filling processes. And at the end of a production line, very often you have a control point with a dynamic weighing process, so in which you can use on eNod4C. So 5 embedded softwares, firmwares for the control of manufacturing processes. So this is the end of this presentation. I hope it's been interesting for you, and we can now answer your questions. So do we have questions, Yvan, asked during the presentation?
Yes, here there is 2 questions.
Okay, thank you, Yvan. So what are the questions? Yes, we have a question about eNod4 in dosing versions. In which applications do we need to configure the filling speed?
Maybe I can go back to eNod4D.
It's for eNod, a question about eNod4D.
So should I go to?
So what is the configurations? The configuration of filling speed is often linked to the type of product. And the speed and the accuracy of we would like to reach. For example, for liquid, we have speak about liquid filling.
Yes,
and
indeed.
generally for liquid filling, it's necessary to start in a fine feed. Why? Because if you start directly to a coarse feed, you could have some foam inside the bottle. So often we don't use a two feed, fine feed, coarse feed, or coarse feed, fine feed, but we will use fine feed, coarse feed, fine feed to start slowly, and after we
so the configuration will be done in not in 2 steps, but in three steps. Slow, fast, and slow.
Here it's an example of applications. It's it's mandatory to have this configuration of feeds to optimize the cycles. Some other example, in some case, we to have a very fast filling with perhaps less accuracy, we will use only one feed. One feed. And also we have some application who are we externally to the filling process, we will pre-filled by volumetric, and we only complete the filling with weight and generally
solution.
And generally we will use only one feed.
Yes. Okay.
Some example of interesting applications.
So indeed, depending on the product to be filled, it's the process can be very different, but this is linked to the product by itself. But the eNod4D is really open and allows many different configurations. So it's fully possible to adjust the cycle and adjust the filling process in a different way.
Very quickly, last question. We have another question about eNod4C. Because we are speak about ejections, control of product ejections, and the question is could we manage with eNod4C different ejection according to several weight intervals? In fact, no. We only control one weight interval, a weight target, and tolerances around this target, because we don't have enough output to manage several weight interval to make sorting. It's only a check weighing with one weight target and one tolerances. Set of tolerances.
So indeed, the eNod4C, like the eNod4D, are designed to mono product cycles. So in this case, so of course you can set tolerances for one product. If in your process you have different products to be weighted,
generally this is taken in charge by the PLC. It's an example of a grading application we have just seen before with the calibration process. And inside the calibration process, generally, eNod4C take in charge the weight calculation. The weight value is sent to the PLC, and the PLC take in charge the the separations
the
of
product ejection. Yeah, or then up to if you change your products from time to time, then it's also possible simply from the PLC to send new parameters to the eNod4 to start a new production process. Do we have any other question?
I think no question, Ivo.
I think
no more questions.
We are just on time, even late for just a few minutes. Okay, so thank you very much to all of you who attended this presentation today. We hope it's been interesting for you. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact us. We will be pleased to answer you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.